Welcome back to the Long and Thick podcast, where your two trash-seeking raccoon hosts help you navigate the noise and cut through the bullshit in the health and wellness space.
Oh, love that. Well done.
What's up, dude?
I love being a rat and a raccoon.
100%.
Any kind of garbage animal.
Yeah, truer than life.
We're back, dude.
We're back. Yeah, time of recording, we just got back from Japan, but that'll be a different conversation for another time.
Mm-hmm.
So lay it on us. What are we talking about today?
Today, episode 9, we got time management and balance for success.
Love that.
Yeah. So something that is crucial, vital, necessary is managing your time, right? If you have any type of fitness goal, it's gonna cost time. There's gonna be some part of your day that gets spent, going towards that thing. And so if you don't manage that, it won't happen. Did you ever run into that snafu early on? I feel like at this point you got things so dialed into like just being able to find time through the day. But like early on, were there any big like hang-ups initially?
Yeah, certain things for consistency. One, when I first started in setting my sights on a fitness and health goal, I mean, I was a pretty unhealthy kid. My diet was deplorable. My sleep was slightly worse than it is now. But yeah, it was just trying a bunch of things on for size and really just knowing that like, okay, well, I don't want to be small and tiny and sickly anymore. So I need to prioritize some time for the gym. How much of the time I had no idea. I'm like, is it going to be 2 days a week? Is it going to be 6 days a week?
Sure.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And then really the first thing was, okay, how do I eat better? Less fast food. How do I facilitate the getting stronger, getting larger and healthier thing? Because it's like minimizing the ingredient and the process list and start going after more whole foods.
Which is also a time piece.
Yes.
Like
it is a sieve.
It's
for
worse
sure.
than the time in the gym.
Correct. And again, you have to cobble through that, yourself and figure out like, it's not just about, I need to eat healthier, but, planning what that looks like, shopping for what that looks like, executing,
cleaning it. Yeah.
Yeah. So, thankfully when I first started, I was much younger with much less responsibility. So it did set me up for success easier than someone that maybe would be later in their years with a family, with a career where time's already at a minimum.
Man.
It's still doable.
Sure.
It always is doable.
Yeah.
And it should always be doable.
Yeah.
But for me, when I started, I did have the luxury of being a musician, self-employed, supportive parents, because I just came out of like a pretty gnarly surgery.
Yeah.
So I did have a pretty easy walk of it and figuring how the time would work, which set me up later in my years when my hours got a little bit more lean feeling with what I had to work with.
Yeah.
What about you?
No, that's a really insightful thing to just like add. I want to say similar. I mean, I started like training seriously in high school ish. And so like, yeah, my full-time job was to like make that happen. And you have nothing but time. You have your like school commitment, which is pretty short considering a work day, right? Like, an 8 to 3, 8 to 2 sometimes, right? Like, and my high school was crazy. So, and I barely went. So like I had extra time. But yeah, I would say the bigger piece of the puzzle with time management when it comes to making sure that you're like adding the right things to support your transition into being healthier, whether it be gaining size, losing mass, whatever, is the food piece. Because we both know that there is such a potent minimum effective dose when it comes to like the actual time training.
Sure.
If you're executing that the right way, you don't need to be spending 2 hours doing like your stuff in the gym. And so being able to really get efficient with that is important, especially as your life gets busier and we have podcasts to record, or like you said, a family, and that's its own beast. Like, and talk about having a dysregulated schedule that is so ebb and flow. Like, oh, kids got diarrhea all morning. Like, I woke up at 3 a.m. and the bed's covered in shit. Like, I guess I'm not going to the gym at 4 because I'm mopping, you know, like, it's like,
yeah, that's also not that unlikely of a scenario. I mean, I deal with that with clients all the time.
They have diarrhea in the morning.
Well, no, or their children do, or, you know, any number of their kids all brought some nondescript new virus of the week back home from daycare or from school and are constantly dealing with that. What do you think in terms of, would you agree that because it's easy to almost compartmentalize, down your gym time, that the food side of things is the thing that it gets the most askew and daunting to really like pin down?
Yeah, I think so. I think that the solution becomes starting to build systems that work for the individual. I mean, I think about this when I program for people. I had a call yesterday where it was like, it's the same thing. It's like, hey, my commute across from here to here takes me X amount of time. Like, it's really a pain in the ass for me to train on this day. Can we change this? The answer is like, yeah, we can, because that's your life. And I don't have to deal with that shit.
Sure.
You do. So let's figure out what's going to work.
Right.
But that's not just like a one size fits all thing. I mean, everybody's life is so nuanced and different that like you gotta be able to figure that out for yourself. So earlier on in our series, and just like kicking things off, we started in the new year talking about, you know, the potency of goals and how like inspiring and motivating a new goal can be and feel. And this is where that stuff starts to get a little shitty and weak, is that like your goal doesn't really matter when the kid's got diarrhea. Like, you know, you might be motivated, but if you have systems in place where like it's not this guessing game, you have to come up with things that set you up for success, which looks like a consistent grocery list, right? Treating it like, okay, if my training block in this next, 3 months is lined up, I'm not going to change it. I know roughly how much time each training session takes, yada, yada. Think about your shopping time like that. Think about your cooking time like that. And then don't fucking change it every week and be like, oh, time to make a crazy new omelet ratatouille style. Like,
it's funny that you say that too, because that's what I deal with some of my in-person clients and my coaching clients is dealing with the difference in concepts when people look at food as an enjoyment or food as a function.
And they can be, and it is both.
It can be both.
Right.
Yeah. If you get more adept and have more experience with cooking on a more healthy fashion, then you can make it an enjoyable thing. It doesn't have to be prison food or tasteless gruel or things like that.
Right.
But there's this weird barrier of entry for some people where like you and I look at it as a function.
Sure.
It is a fuel. It is a piece of the puzzle to keep us feeling and performing our best.
Yeah.
If along the way we can enjoy some things or maybe paint outside the lines a little bit, like on the weekends, and not have it be a complete just fucking raccoon trash fest as we started this episode, like, but that's fully valid.
Yeah.
But some people, it has to scratch the emotional itch first. And it says like, well, it would behoove you to start to relinquish some of that control that food has over you.
Yeah.
Because when you can systemize it, and it's not saying that you only eat the same 4 things forever. Right. But at least paint yourself into some boxes that's more repeatable than you being at the whim of your imagination and your emotions, which then you're taking more time to think and imagine. You're going to take even more time to have to shop and execute. Yeah. And then you're most likely going to have more time slip away from you. Yeah. And having it not be systemized, to your point, is only going to make you fall farther behind in your goals. Yeah. Which we also said very poignantly is that a goal is a great starting point.
Necessary.
A goal that's already acted on is even better. Yeah. But the shiny coin's going to wear off real quick. Yeah. Your stride is going to falter. And unless you have something to constantly reset your pace, your direction, something that you can look at as your North Star, most people are going to fail at seeing their goal through. Yeah. So,
yeah, I think a good takeaway is that if you're going to, really try to dive into changing things up for yourself, Don't do too much all at once, and give yourself some semblance of a routine and consistency. A good idea, I think personally, is like having 3 to 4 breakfast options, 3 to 4 snack options, 3 to 4 lunch options, 3 to 4 second snack, and 3 to 4 like dinner. That sounds like, holy shit, that's a lot of things. It's really not. And it keeps you from being like, what do I feel like having today? You have 4 options, and then you base your shopping and your cooking time, and then you get better at it and faster. And you don't have to do this forever.
No,
it's probably a good idea to keep it the same as your training block. If you're doing a 3-month training block, have a block of like diet that you're experimenting with.
Absolutely agree. I love that you said that. That was like served up on the on deck circle. It was just like, oh, if we look at this exactly like a mesocycle, that at least meets somewhere in the middle of it, gets the people that can look at it as a function. Completely on the right track. And it also does not completely feel like a stay of food execution to the people that need to have some sort of experience with their consuming things. Where it's like, listen, you can sit on this for 3 months. For sure. And then you're going to see what happens when you have that. Correct.
And how much better you feel 100%. And how much simpler your life is. There's something with, I mean, look at, I remember, I don't know if it was when Steve Jobs' book came out. Everyone was obsessed with this decision fatigue and laying out their fucking clothes and buying 75 of the same t-shirt because they were like, now I don't have to think and I'm just going to wear this shirt forever. Okay, fine, whatever. You're cool. You're not him, but it's fine. Same idea, like set yourself up with this stuff and you'll be ready to rumble. I mean, honestly, I get to the point where I'm like, I could eat more or less the same thing all the time. It doesn't really get that old. Like 2 breakfast options is fine. Eggs, pickled onions, some greens, and sweet potatoes. Maybe throw some bacon in there. Like that is a fucking A+ breakfast. Like that doesn't, I don't know who that sounds bad to. I don't know what the complain about alternative is. But, yeah. I mean, all that to say, starts to think more in a systems based mindset as opposed to just like, I have this goal, and your time management can, begin to reflect that in those types of boxes.
I also like that you said to bring it back was that something that I do as well is you have to look at the best way to do it, in my opinion, is to look at your day in terms of like, 48 half-hour blocks. Obviously, a lot of that's going to go to sleep.
Sure.
But even your career-based stuff, like that your lunch break, for instance, if it's an hour, you're only actually eating for a half hour.
Sure.
Now you might have to account for half hour of eating and then half hour of transit. Maybe you've lost that one.
Sure.
But if you have a way of compartmentalizing things down to like, okay, this will only take 1 half-hour block or 2 half-hour blocks. Pretty much anything in life can be done in an hour.
Yeah.
Again, not commitments to career notwithstanding.
Right.
But everyone leaks a ton of time in meandering, thinking, imagining.
Yeah.
And that's not to say you have to be productive all the time, but if you're at least setting up your next piece of success, you can do that without it feeling like a chore, as long as you have direction. Which again, we've talked previous to this, and we'll dive a little bit farther into in this episode, but just like lists, having a structure, exactly, having a direction, because if you don't, I am a quintessential, party
list
to that
master.
Well, I'm still learning to be, just because it's very easy to, get lost in the sauce of all these thoughts, and I can think of every possible outcome, but it also keeps me in like mental prison and less execution because of that. Whereas like, okay, talking about balance of your life, let's talk about it. Let's, obviously you're throwing so many hours of the week out to career. You can at least surmise what, say, any other extracurricular things or family management is going to be. Sure, there's going to be curveballs,
right?
But still, like what schools are, or how many extracurricular sporting things or craft or club things you've committed to with them.
Yep.
And you can at least see how your life is arranged. And where the gaps are.
Right.
And, okay, if you have a lot on your plate, You have to suck it up at that point and still make systems to make you yourself feel the best amidst all of those responsibilities.
Yep.
So, and it's again, it's a pillar of this entire podcast is that like there needs to be a fitness component, there needs to be a nutrition component.
Yep.
And regardless of how chaotic and psychotic your life may feel, you still need to carve some time for yourself systematically.
It'll make it better.
100%. It'll make all those other things function a little bit better. Think more clearly, have less stress and anxiety amidst all the fracas.
Yep.
But yeah, you need to find a way of carving time for yourself.
What's funny too is after just having gone away and like having no routine, right? Like every day we had like a template and outline and stuff, but like I feel that so much more now after having prioritized my own personal systems, like in America and in my normal week, right?
Yeah.
Like, what does like a perfect time managed week look like for you? I think we talk about this. We're going to say this all the time. This is just a universal truth. You know, there's so much similarity between fitness, health, wellness, and finances. So like we're talking about a time budget, right? And so if you're budgeting your time for the week, is it something that you sit down, take your book out and write out like Monday on Sunday night and like look at the whole scheme? Are you a digital person? What and what does it look like when there are as few variances and hiccups from just like the flat tire and whatever kind of stuff, like a smooth week? What does it look like? How do you go about managing your time? What is that, you know, because there's a lot of ebb and flow in your career, right? Like it's not, there's structure, but it is relatively inconsistent.
Sure. To a degree.
Right.
With
so
any
like
client-based career.
Yeah. Yep. So like walk us through what that sort of looks like.
Sure.
And your dream version of it.
Oh yeah. My dream, that's weird because I almost have like a selfish guilt of being like, oh, my dream version is, well, I have more time to do this, but then I toil with the idea of like, well, if I do that, I can't work with as many people. And that's not a function of like me wanting to make more money. It's like, I actually enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
But, as we're talking about, there is only so many hours in a day and only so many hours in a week. So, eventually I would like to start reining some of those hours back truly for myself.
Yeah.
But at this current station in my life, I don't mind shucking most of them out for other people because I really do enjoy what I do. And I find it's very engaging and fulfilling. But a perfectly balanced week is, with my commitment to my gym as well as my clients, I will spend about 50 hours in total throughout
working.
Okay. Yeah. Through, probably about 6 days a week. And then, we'll call it morning, noon, and night. That'll be meals and dog care and those responsibilities that just have to come. 2
dog sessions a day?
3 usually.
Okay.
So same thing, morning, noon, and night. But if I'm lucky, which I usually am, I'll get about 4 workout sessions a week. And the way my life is structured for the balance on the mental emotional side is Friday is usually a half day. Saturday is kind of a free day. I might have some clients in the morning. If I don't, fine. And that's just a day to take it as it comes. Ensure that I'm eating well. That'll most likely be a training day. Sundays, we're often doing this.
Yep.
That accounts for about half the day. And that's pretty much then getting back to a full restructure for the following week. So it's mostly digital on my behalf. Like I can just see the landscape on my phone.
Managing your own like notes and like lists. Okay.
So it's pretty, despite it being a client-based business and there's some erratic nature to what's filled where, my schedule for the most part now is pretty consistent. Like everyone's kind of landing like, well, I have this day and I just want to keep
like
you
their
on
slot. Yeah.
Yeah. So I can pretty much see a similar lay of the land, every day of the work week. So there's not too much deviation. The people go out of town, people get sick, whatever.
Sure.
But even if something drops off and I have a gap in the day, what I usually use that time for is either, again, rechecking in with any clients that I might not be in person, like virtual clients, doing that, maybe working on my own mobility, which is something that I don't get to do as much as I'd like to. So, I get to lift, pretty regularly, but keeping the machine well oiled amidst all that. The minute someone drops off my schedule, I'm pretty much hitting a foam roller or bands or something just to kind of keep things moving in that direction. In terms of systems, for myself, I used to do a lot of meal prepping. Now I just use a meal service. It's that is an equation that I had to work out for myself is like, okay, how much time am I really spending for planning my meals, shopping, taking time to execute? And for a Saturday or Sunday, what do I want to spend 2 to 3 hours doing that at this point in my life? No, I do not. That way I know with this, I get 4 meals a day. Lock that in.
Dunzo.
My weekends are pretty much free. Like if I want to eat those kind of meals, great. If I want to go out with friends, also fine. But that was a decision made for the balance side of things.
It's a great example. I mean,
I don't want to do that, and I don't like the grocery store anymore. I used to like it, and now it's just like, no, that's just a bad use of time.
I feel that. Yeah.
What about you? How does a perfectly balanced week look for you?
Yeah, I think I had to come to terms with like, typically I love room for like spontaneity, right? Like having freedom to just do whatever the fuck. But that doesn't work well for like getting anything done ever. And then you just sort of rot and do things that feel good for times, like just play video games or go and have 8 cups of coffee and whatever. So
easy little dopamine scratches that don't amount to anything.
Yeah. You're just like, fuck, and more, Men in Black style. So
more.
Yeah. My work schedule is fantastic, but a little odd in terms of like the time spread of my like clinic hours through the week. But it opens up a lot of freedom. So I'm in the clinic, Monday through Friday. Mondays, Wednesdays, Thursdays are longer days. Tuesdays and Fridays are nice and short. We're just there 8 to 1. So there's a lot of wiggle room there to like train or go and do other things if I have to go to the dentist or whatever stuff. There's room in there. Typically, Sunday is like my admin day. I'll look at people's programs. I'll like look at the run of like my week. Like, do I have therapy? When? Okay. Like, and try to get a feeler for like, what does this week look like? Is there any big things coming up? Do I need to prep for anything? Whatever. That's my Sunday evening, like look at the full upcoming gamut of stuff. My typical like training flow looks like either getting a lift in on Saturday or Sunday. I think of the week starting on Sunday personally. Monday, I usually hit some form of like cardio because I'm in the office for longer. It's easier for me to do that. Tuesday's another lifting day. Which I can also do cardio after if I need to. Wednesday, a cardio day. Thursday, a cardio day. Friday, a lifting day because it's a shorter day. So I'm getting at least like 3 lifts in a week with loads of cardio, which you heard me say 45 times. And that shit takes mad time, especially when you're doing, a zone 2 row for 2 hours. Like talk about eating up time in the schedules. Like where's this going to fit? At 4 a.m. or at 8 at night.
Yeah. And something that's not really been fully glossed over yet is in all of that with the, I wouldn't say extreme, but the lofty cardio demands that you impose on yourself and the extra caloric needs that come with that. How does food fit into the picture? Yeah,
it's something I am working at getting better at managing my own way.
I don't only say this because viewers or listeners, I mean, I also personally work with several people that just work themselves to the bone and do not factor in food.
Yeah.
And like, hey, why am I not hitting my fitness goals? Or hey, why am I not
tired or so sore or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. So the biggest things are making sure there's a guy I follow on Instagram. His name's Dr. Heenan out of Connecticut. He makes sure he works with athletes that primarily are trying to get into like the MLB is my take on his page without meeting him or knowing him personally. And And he has some pretty clear, like, yo, if you want to do this and perform at this level, like, eat 1,000 calories, like good calories, full big meal, a lot of protein, a lot of fat, a lot of carbs, like before your day starts. So he says before 9 a.m. is like the rule for, high school kids or whatever. For me, that would look like before 7:15, right? So having that time in the days that I do that, holy shit, what a difference.
Sure.
Right. The satiation through the day, the energy levels, like everything else is just like way better. Days that I'm running myself ragged and dry, I mean, it is a horrible grind. And then I am slamming calories at night after having done a lift and a long, cardio session, and it doesn't work well, but it's like, okay.
Yeah. And not that we're trying to hijack this into a truly just nutrition based episode. But this again is about systems. And one thing that I can speak for myself, you just corroborated, and most people that I actually adjust their habits to reflect this, is that if you can start, much to your point, a large breakfast with a significant, and that's usually higher than most people will give it credit for, a significant amount of protein and a good amount of solid, healthy fats.
Yeah.
The performance, the mental clarity, and the balance of your energy throughout the day is unrivaled.
Set up for success.
Yeah, unrivaled. Yeah. And most people are like, oh, I just don't even eat breakfast, or
I fast until
or it's fucking I eat cereal or some shit, and it's just like, no. Like if you change this up, and again, systematically change this approach to account for these change in variables and make sure you're always hitting a large breakfast with a good amount of protein, the difference will be pretty astounding.
Yeah. Yeah. So definitely making sure that I feel like I have a good grasp on my training times, given my schedule is very consistent, I would say. There's not a lot of room for wiggling in there. I mean, if people don't show up for a session, it doesn't really change my working hours. So that's good. Just from like a consistency standpoint. And then, making sure that I have time to like do other shit that I like, that is not for any other reason other than I enjoy it, or like hang out with you or other friends or game, and have time for that, and have it be sort of open-ended without it being like, I'm on this, I have 45 minutes and it's not even fun because now I'm stressed about the time it takes and whatever. Like there needs to be some pockets of like lofty time expenditure.
Sure.
But you do need to appreciate that is the one, commodity asset thing that you will never, ever, ever get more of, regardless of your Elon Musk or not. Like you can't buy more. It just comes and goes. So how you spend it, matters quite a bit.
Well, in terms of that, changing gears a little bit, obviously no things in this regard are truly created equal. And you have to prioritize certain things.
Yeah.
And then that's not, like you said earlier, a one size fits all scenario.
Yeah.
Everyone's life, what they have access to, what their priorities are, obviously will always be different.
Yep.
How do you shape and hone priorities so you don't get analysis paralysis, or you don't potentially prioritize the wrong things that are not advantageous to your goals? What do you think is a way of sorting through priority?
Yeah, I think a really great exercise that you can do. There's a lot of good things that are pretty in depth in terms of like value establishment programs, or like things online that you can fill out that are pretty intense. I think a good exercise for any listeners at home is to just draw like a pyramid, food pyramid, make it 5 tiers. Take some time, maybe go for a walk and just like think about it, and fill in those 5 tiers in a way that makes sense to you.
Sure. And then this is assuming that the bottom tier, the foundation, the chody base, if you will, is going to be the most influence and have the most importance for keeping the rest of your life stable.
Yep. So whatever is at the bottom needs to be the thing that is, without a shadow of a doubt, the most important thing for you to function, which is, I would say everyone would should have sleep under here just as like a physiological need. Like your brain just turns into this smooth, shitty rock if you don't have that. So like
this underperforming dumb marble.
Like maybe make that your default base, but honestly, if it's not, like it's not, and
probably should be, but
right. And but at least you can use this as an exercise to like see if it's like shopping. All right, fucking let it rip. Like it's shopping. If you don't shop, your whole world falls apart. Okay, so be it. That's your pyramid for right now. At least you can use it as a visual to see where are my priorities. Like what do I really care about? Another analogy is like you take a glass, right? And like you have rocks that fill a lot of space. What are your like rocks? Friendship, community time, eating, sleeping, my job, whatever. Those are your big core things. And then you have your little like grains and things that fit in between those spaces. And then you have like really fine sand. That's like your little interactions and yada, yada, yada. Same idea, but this is just a simple graphic for you to fill out and, have as a template for you to see, and visual guides are really, really helpful. I mean, mine that I filled out was sleep at the bottom, exercise, food, my tribe. So like my people, right? Like the community, and then my like purpose, like what do I give back? What do I do with myself? I think of that with my work personally, but a lot of people's work is not their purpose, and that's okay. And it doesn't need to be. So yeah, I mean, look at it, make sense of it. And, in your system building, the more you can get into writing and seeing in front of you what, your cares and desires are, it'll be easier for you. I think I have a little bit of a bone to pick here, and it's not with you, but I'm curious about people who, and your thoughts on this, people who are like, oh, I don't write anything down.
Yeah.
And I just like, and some of them are like high performers and they like get shit done and they figure it out.
Sure.
So be it. Personally, I just think human bandwidth, you're hedging your bets the wrong way.
Yeah.
So what do you use for, you said you're digital, right? Like in terms of your like managing your stuff. Yeah. I'm like a paper person. The fact that I have this is like I'm just like experimenting with it. It works better for this case. But everything else, I have like 50 fucking journals and books and tabs and whatever. Like I like paper. I like the physicality of writing. I like pens. So do you. Like I want to write. I would rather have a fucking chalkboard at home and just like, beautiful mind that shit and paint my day all over the place. But what do you use? Have you ever heard of like bullet journaling or like, the bullet system, or I think it's called bullet journaling?
I've not done that. So it's funny they say you have a bone to pick and it's not directly with me, but this whole setup was from what we talked about. What we talked about off camera. But transparently is I didn't always, and I still struggle with writing things down sometimes, like, cause my dumbass cerebral cortex is like, we got this. Like I can remember a lot, sure. But it's still like this fucking fractal soup that just keeps going. And the problem by not writing stuff down is you can get lost in the sauce of your thoughts, and you might have exactly what you need somewhere. Sure. But then your brain has these really dumb, novel ways of just being like, here's a list, here's a list, here's a list, here's, and like, well, where do I really emphasize my focus and my time? So for my scheduling, it's always usually digital, and I can just see, where like this, over war theater viewpoint of what I have available, and I can kind of, move some pixels around. When I'm in those free spaces though, when I have time to myself, I do like writing things down more and more and more. And there is, I think everyone has analysis paralysis, or just this weird way of imagining the best case scenario or like the maximum fulfillment version of what they want to do, rather than just doing the thing. Yeah. And all of your best outcomes just come from doing the thing. Even if it's not perfect,
it's still better than you just writing it down and then fucking throwing the book away,
Yeah.
or not even writing it down and just being like, ugh.
that is where I've found, like goal setting, time management, just keeping priority of structure, visualizing, like I said, the priority pyramid. We did that exercise together. Is being able to have it in black and white right in front of you with no external noise or, competing thoughts in this dumb little noodle. It keeps things very refined, very distilled, as long as you can stick to it.
Yeah.
So that was always a crux for me, was that like for a while I thought my brain was all, and that just I could manage and I was okay at it.
Sure.
But my productivity, overall performance, and getting through multiple tasks faster always came at having written down systems and being able to quickly look at, like, oh, simple, check it off, done, move on.
Yeah.
Rather than like, how am I going to start this? How is it going to be perfect? Is it actually be exactly what I want? And then it could have been done 4 times over if I just looked at it, did it, and stopped thinking.
Yeah.
So that's a real benefit to a list or a goal arc or like a mood storyboard, anything like that. It's just, here's the lay of the land. Here's it. It's in simplest terms. It might not be perfect. We're going to fumble through it, but at least it's done.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
What about you?
I'm thinking of like a practical, helpful tool if somebody wants to try this. So I think part of this is like a bullet journal style, like method of accomplishing tasks in terms of writing it down. But what I'll do is the night before, so tonight I'll write tomorrow's date at the top. The way I write it is in day, month, year, like the rest of the fucking earth. Yay, America. And then underline it, write the day of the week next to it. And then in the best way that I can, start with the most important thing at the top and then work my way down into just sort of like brain dumping shit that I want to get done. So I'm not going to write like go to work. Like I'm going to do that no matter what. Right. Sure. So if it's like, hey, cleaning the car, that feels like a thing that I really like need to do, whatever. I'll make my list. And then if I look back at it and there's a bunch of stuff that I either didn't do, I'll cross it out when I do it. Or if I feel like, okay, this is worth doing at some point and I didn't just write it down because it was like a cool idea, like learn Japanese. Like, no, it has to be like start the process of learning, right? Like, okay. Then let's say I didn't get to it that day. I'll put a line next to it and a little arrow that's like, hey, like next day. So I can at least look back and see, oh shit, I forgot that I even wrote that. So this is the point of like having this freedom for yourself. Like you're taking some things off of your mental plate and having it physically in front of you. And it's just a better way to manage yourself so you don't have to be juggling things.
Sure.
I think the biggest pitfall that I've seen with people who do that well for a time is that they get like this cockiness or like some people compliment it and they're like, wow, that's so amazing. And then you're like, oh, sick. Like that is amazing. I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to actually make it harder. I'm going to never write anything down ever again. Watch this. And then it starts to fall apart for you and you're like, yeah, you forgot to show up for this photo shoot thing that it's like, oh, whoops. And that's a really bad feeling. So all that to say, a little recap of just like start to build systems that work for you. There's a gazillion guides and methods and styles. I like paper. You like more of a hybrid. I'm starting to get that way personally. If you like using Notion or there's lots of softwares or to-do list apps or notes app or whatever, just find some shit that works. It doesn't have to be, and don't change it. Stop like looking for the new thing. Just find a thing.
That's a really good call out too, because just land on something, and as long as it's not complete dog shit, for your habits,
for a while.
Just make it work.
Yes.
Optimize that thing for yourself. Get cozy with it, rather than just lily padding every new thing.
I need a new software.
Maximize my productivity, and like you said, like you're looking for that's not a productivity edge. That's a neurotic tick
Yeah.
that you need to find something. And it's like a non-committal problem
It
at
is.
the end of the day.
It is, yeah.
It's like just sit with it, master it, and get good at it.
Yep.
Rather than always looking for something new to upset the balance, which in a way is like a self-sabotaging notion. No one
It
ever
is.
wants to admit that.
It is.
But it keeps you right where it keeps you comfortable at the end of the day and not really
And
failing
avoidant.
with something. Yeah, and avoiding for sure.
Yeah.
So no,
It's
I
like
agree.
looking on Reddit for like, what's the best finance managing app? And you read reviews and it's like people just complaining about minor things. And like you had said before, if you just fucking started
Yeah.
before you even did any of that and just started, like
Yeah.
the people who do that, the people who just start stuff and fumble with it a little bit are always better off. They have more experience. They're the people whose fucking review you're reading in the first place.
Yeah.
Like
They did the thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
So be the person who does the thing. Make your system. You're gonna fuck it up. It's gonna be wrong. You're gonna blow it a little bit. Like that's fine. At least you're falling in the right direction. Like,
Correct. And you've actually started something rather than thinking about it and just spinning your wheels
Yes.
and imagining what could be.
Yeah.
Just do the damn thing.
yeah.
Get your feet moving or get your fingers or hands, whatever it needs to be done. But like start the fucking shit.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Episode 9. Start your shit.
yeah. Start your goddamn shit. That's it.
Yeah. I think that's all she wrote. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything
I think,
else to
solid
add.
recap is just like, look at the lay of the land of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is impossible. Things can be trimmed. You're hemorrhaging time in places you don't even realize.
Yeah.
And then when you start restructuring the priority of things, then you're like, oh, okay. So maybe what I do for 4 hours of this day, i.e. doom scrolling and dumb shit and like TikTok dancing, thing like that, that could be spent. We saw a lot of TikTok dancing in Japan, but
It's time for us to start, actually.
I have the hips of a cardboard gorilla, dude. No one needs to see me fucking dance.
I don't need to see that.
But yeah, no, it's just like reprioritize, like really be honest with yourself and how do you want to feel? If you don't feel that way, it's in your best interest to trim every bit of fat in your life to make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
Life's too fucking short
True.
to feel miserable all the time.
Yikes.
And
yeah.
too many people fucking do.
Very
So
true.
that's why I'm going to drop my mic at the end.
Hell yeah. Peace out, Cub Scouts. Until next time.
Later.